As we're going to show you in a minute, the inside-out cube is made to a very high level of precision, and so are all the parts that go with it. I spent a great deal of time with this design, and I have an entire box out in my shop full of different cubes that were designed that were either just a little bit too fat or a little bit too heavy or didn't look quite empty. And so I really spent a great deal of time on this and came up with a design that I think is very, very thin, as you'll notice, and it's actually very minimalistic in terms of the sides and how it holds the pieces in. And at the same time, it's still very strong, and this is still going to be very durable for you to use. I went with a snap lid because I looked at a hinged lid. I didn't think it looked quite right, and I was afraid that the reliability of that would not be good over time. The lid will actually loosen up, but it is a firm fit, and there's a reason for that. And that's because when you put like a business card inside of it, or sometimes when you tear up a billet and you put it in there, if this is a really loose fitting lid, it'll actually pop up, and then you won't be able to very easily give this to somebody as a container and have them select a side. So there is a reason that it is on the tighter side. But I think over time you'll see it does loosen up, and if you need to, you can work the lid in and out, 10 or 15 times. We've pre-worked them to get them to about the right point, but you may want yours to be a little looser, so you can work that in and out a few times and it'll loosen up. That's pretty much all I wanted to tell you about the box, so we're going to go ahead and talk about setting it up. Hi, this is Craig. Thank you very much for purchasing Inside Out. We've got our box here. Let's open it up and take a look at what's inside. Okay, you should have your Inside Out box. You should have some wood tiles. You should have some color cube tiles, and also the whiteboard tiles with the glass Lexan. And then you also have a special package with the word top written on side of it. These are special Lexan glass pieces. We'll get into how to use those later. You also have a battery, and the electronics are actually in the box. I'm going to show you close up how to get the electronics out and set the battery up. Box, you're going to notice on the back side is actually a little hole. You're going to need to take your paper clip and you're going to have to press it into the hole like this, and you're going to see that's going to release the electronics and the false bottom. And this is what you're going to take out, and now we'll put the battery into the electronics before we put this back. Okay, now that we have the electronics out, we're going to go ahead and put the battery in. The battery is a CR1225, or sometimes it's called a BR1225. It's the same battery that we use in Color Match and Multidimensional Mini. On the electronics, the battery class side, when it's facing up, that's actually the 6 side. And when it's facing down, this is how it goes into the box. This is the one side up. So that means that the lid is up here and the lid is the one side. In order to put the battery in, we're going to go ahead and turn our receiver on, and we're going to slide the battery in with the plus side up. There's a plus side here on the electronics and on the battery. I'm going to put this in, and you'll see it's going to start buzzing a 6 for us. Here's a second 6. Great. Now we're ready to go ahead and put the electronics into the cube. Now remember, because we had the 6 side up when we put this in, we actually enabled the lock feature. Later on, that's going to allow us to dial the cube 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we'll lock it into a sleep mode. And then when we unlock it, we dial it 6, 1, 6. That unlocks it. We'll go over that in more detail in just a few minutes. Let me show you how to put it back into the box. Okay, in order to put the electronics back in, you'll notice the battery here on the right hand side, and you'll also notice the hole is right back here. You want to put the battery over the hole so that when you press this out, you'll be pressing on the battery with the paper clip. Now, I actually put the electronics in by pushing it flush against one side and sliding it down until it hits these little posts in the bottom of the box. And then I just drop it in there, and it will fit flush in there and it won't rock. There we go. Now you take the false bottom, you'll notice there's actually 2 sides to this. One is smoother than the other. I put the smooth side up and I put it in the same way. I put it at an angle all the way down, and then you just press fit this inside there. Once that is inside there, it won't come out and it won't rattle. It should be nice and tight inside there. If you need to, you could use some double-side tape on there, possibly even magician's wax if this starts to get loose over time. Or you can contact me and I'll have spare parts available for you. You'll notice that I'll number these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is anger, bliss, desire, faith, fear, and love. That's actually in their alphabetical order in the English language. The other thing that's great about this is that you'll notice that 1 and 6 are actually anger and love. These are opposites of each other, just like 1 and 6 are on a dice. Bliss and fear are opposites of each other, which is 2 and 5. And then 3 and number 4, desire and faith, are also opposites in the way that desire is something you want, faith is something that you have. So 3 and 4 are opposites, 2 and 5 are opposites, and 1 and 6 are opposites. They're also in alphabetical order, so it's a very easy way to remember them. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to set up the cube using the wood engraved tiles. Our battery is already installed. Turn my receiver on, put it on the table so I can hear it, and we'll listen for the number that I have up. Okay, that's a 5, so that's actually fear. I'm going to slide this in to the 5 side. Notice I have the grain running up and down, the word going across this way. So I'm going to hold it this way. So I think this was a 3. Yep, it was a 3. That's desire. So I know that the opposite of 3 is 4. So I'll slide in the word faith. And then I know the opposite of fear is bliss. This should be side number 2, and it is. Then I'm going to go ahead and put the anger into the 1. Now 1 is always the lid, and the bottom is always 6. And I'm going to use the word love there. And in just a second, I'm going to show you close up how to do the lid into the bottom because they are special. And I'm going to put the lid on top, and we are ready to go. Now, you can use the whiteboard cubes as well. We're going to show you close up how to do those. And I won't show you the color, but the color's done the same way, and you can spread these out alphabetically if you like. Now let me show you how to put the tiles into the lid. This is the same procedure for all of the tiles. You'll notice on the lid, and this is also on the bottom of the cube, that there's 2 sides where the square is actually fatter. And you can see it right here. This is actually wider. And what you do is you take your tile piece and notice the way the grain is going. That's because this is going to have to bend a little bit when it goes in. It's not a problem with the Lexan glass or with the color cube. Now this will actually slide right inside there, and then it's going to actually push all the way over and snap into place like that. And now you have a perfect fit. You do the exact same thing on the bottom side, and you do the same thing with the color cube and with the Lexan glass. Now let me show you how to remove this using a hobby knife. Now let me show you how to remove a tile from the top and from the bottom. I'm going to actually use a hobby knife to do this. And what you do is you slide the hobby knife into the very edge of this thing, and you actually pry it up. It's a little hard to do from behind the camera. So then you use your thumb and you press down and you just slide this thing out. It's as simple as doing that, and you pull this off. Again, remember, don't remove the sticky tape from the backs of these because that will permanently affix the tile into the back. And this is exactly what you do when you do the Lexan glass. I'll show you that next. Okay, let's talk about how to customize the cube using the whiteboard tiles. And this is just laminated pieces of paper, and I'm using 60-pound stock. Actually, I'm using 90-pound stock. And this is just laminated and cut to 1 inch. Now I'm going to slide this into the side, and then I'm going to take one of the pieces of Lexan. Now remember, there's a special bag that says top and bottom. That is only used for the top and bottom pieces. They're a special size to fit in this properly, so don't use those in the sides. Only use those for the top and bottom, and you can tell because they have sanded edges on them. We'll show you a close-up of that in a minute. But after you put the whiteboard side in there, and remember, you can use both sides of this laminated paper, you're going to go ahead and put in the Lexan side. Now, these are actually cut with slightly different dimensions, this direction and this direction. The reason for that is because if you're going to use a piece of paper or something thinner than this laminated piece of paper, you want this to fit a little bit tighter. So it's done purposely. It's a very unique design that allows you just to rotate this 90 degrees, and you'll get a different fit, a tighter fit, because you don't want these things necessarily falling out when you remove the paper from the cube if you're using it that way. So when I've got this in there, I just feel this when I put it in there, and I can feel this is actually fairly loose right there. So I know if I turn this 90 degrees and put it in, yeah, this is a much tighter fit. This is a much better fit than if I were to use the paper. I'm going to show you how to make up some paper ones as well, but this slides right into the side, and you just work your way around, and then you do the top and bottom. We're going to give you a close-up of how to do the top and bottom next. Now, one thing to remember is that this is Lexan, and it does actually scratch really easy. I looked for all different sorts of plastic. I really was not able to find anything that was scratch resistant. But the good news is, even these pieces that are scratched, I'm looking at this, I put it in and out several times, and this one's scratched. And when you actually place this right up next to the white, you can't really see those scratches anymore. So I think it actually looks perfectly fine. I would not, however, keep this in my pocket next to my keys because that's going to get more and more scratched. You might want to put this inside of a bag or something more protective, maybe even a cloth that you carry this in. Okay, let me go ahead and show you how to do the whiteboard side. The first step is to slide the whiteboard tab in, and then the next step is to slide in the glass piece. You'll notice though that there are sanded smooth sides on 2 of the glass pieces, and these were in the bag that say top on them, and that represents the top and the bottom pieces for the cube. The other glass pieces are actually too big and they'll fit in here too tightly, but if you use the proper pieces that are sanded, this will actually slide right into place and hold there. And then when you want to remove it, go ahead and just take your hobby knife, and you're going to remove it the exact same way by slipping inside here. You just pry this up a little bit, and with your thumb you just go ahead and press that piece of glass right out. It's just that simple, and you do the same thing with the piece of paper when you want to change it. Remember, you can always use the front and the back of the white piece of paper if you like. Make sure when you build your color cube that you use black for 1 and you use the yellow for 6, because these are specially sized to fit into the lid, into the bottom of the cube. The rest of these will fit around the outsides. If at any time you feel that anything is getting too loose, don't hesitate to use a little bit of double-sided stick tape underneath the color tile and press it on there to hold it tight so that it doesn't slip out. Now let me show you how to make a custom side for the cube. You actually might decide to print out your own sides instead of using the whiteboard cube. This is a piece of cardstock that I have, and we'll pretend that I had printed something on there. You can buy one of these punches at a craft store. It's used for scrapbooking. This is a 1-inch square punch. This cube was specifically designed to handle this. Now these are available in the US and all through Europe as a standard part. Sometimes they call them 1.33 inch because I think that's the diagonal dimension of it. But in any case, this is a 1-inch punch. Now I have noticed that depending on the punch that you have, the cubes, the squares that come out, are slightly different sized. So what I tend to have to do is just take it and trim just a little bit off the edge in order to get it to fit in the cube. But because of the design of this cube, you'll still be able to slide it into the right spot, and it's still going to work okay for you. If you just take a little bit off, and it'll still fit fine. There we go. That's as easy as that. If this is something printed, now you can actually, of course, you can flip this upside down, and when you put this in there, you can actually see the exact picture you're going to get when you punch this thing out. So you can actually line this up so you can tell and get a really good punch on what your symbol is or whatever it is that you've printed. So remember, when you're using paper, that when you put the Lexan piece in, you want to use the thicker side of the Lexan so that it actually fits tighter in the side of the cube. So this side's a little bit too tight, so I'm going to rotate that 90 degrees, and yeah, this fits actually much better now. If it is too loose, remember, you can always put another piece of paper behind it to make it a little bit thicker. That'll make this tighter. And you can also use a small piece of double-sided stick tape, and that you can actually use for any of the tiles if you want, and it can stick to the side of the cube. And then what you can do is slide the cube tile in there and press down, and that'll hold it. And then when you're ready to remove that, you can take a knife and you can slide that into there and loosen that up, remove it, and then you can remove this piece of tape and it won't actually hurt the cube at all. Okay, let's talk about a few good ways to get an impression of a name of somebody that they write down. The first way, of course, is to have them write it down and to do a center tear. And in just a minute, we're going to have Rand Pink teach you how to do the T-Rex center tear. That's the one that I'm personally using. I do like it a lot. And that's the one that I'm using, and that's the one he's teaching. I think it's a great center tear. And another way to do it is actually with a, this is one of the Parapad impression pads. I actually have pads that are custom made that are this size, so they're smaller because this is a pretty big piece of paper in order to fit it inside of that box. So if you do use this, you may want to tear part of this off, or look into getting a smaller pad. And of course with this one, it being magnetic, you simply flip this thing over and then you have them, however you want to do this, write the name of the person here. And in this particular situation, I actually have them, of course, tear this off. We're going to assume this is a smaller piece, but I have them tear this thing off, and I first take the pen back and I get it put away. And then I'll hand them the cube, to have them put it inside there, and then I'll take the pad back. And then what's nice is, as I turn around so that they can fold this up and put it inside the box, I turn around and just very openly am able to peek what they wrote down. So it's very simple to even do this with your back turned. And then they're folding the paper up, putting it in the box, and closing the lid on it. Then you proceed with your routine. Another method that is good, and I'm not going to teach it here, but that is the Acidus Novus method, or maybe you might even know a business card tear. But I do like to use the Acidus Novus, and I did try to contact Millard Longman in order to give him to teach it, because he's the one that put that out, and I wasn't able to get a hold of him, so I'm not teaching it here. But I do use it, and if you're familiar with this, you'll know what I'm talking about, but I like to get as much as 2 pieces of information. I think you can even get more, but I like to get 2 pieces of information while using it. And so I'm usually getting a name, or and maybe like if they wrote down a member of the family, or someone that they love, or if it was a friend of theirs. Now, of course, what I do is when I take the card back, I actually say that we're going to go ahead and just give this one more fold, and I might say something like, as you can see, nobody can see through this. And then I give this one additional fold, and I place it inside the box, and you'll see that a business card will fit in there very nicely, and then you can close this lid down on it, and that will hold in there, and then you can proceed with the rest of your presentation. Now, one of the last ways, and probably the cleanest way to do this, is with an electronic impression pad. And of course, on my site, I sell Soren Harbo's Mindbuster Pocket, and that's my favorite one. It has a dedicated receiver to it. It's a great pen. It's very unsuspect. You can put it into a little pad of paper like this if you want to, or you can keep it in its leather case. And I've used it actually in both, so I think it's a great way to go. And of course, I always do my peek with that when my back is turned, and that way I'm not coming near the paper or the pen until it's folded and put inside here. But really, any of those 4 methods for getting that information is great, no matter which one you're using, getting that information for the box. Now, if you're going to use the center tear in order to get the information, don't overlook the fact that you can use the box if they've written something down on a piece of paper, whether it's a business card or whether it's something of this size. Don't overlook the ability that you have when you're doing this tear to actually tear it for the justification of putting it inside the box. You'll notice in Rand's demonstration, he says, you notice how when you know somebody and you know what they're like, you tend to put them in a box. That was how he started the whole thing out. And then he tore up the pieces of paper and he placed them, inside that box. I actually think this makes it very, very personal when you're doing this and asking them how they feel about this individual. So I really think this is a great justification for doing a center tear, because a lot of people are worried about that justification. So that's what I like to use, and it makes sense when you're putting it inside there, I believe. So it's just my opinion on it, and I think it works very well, and we've been performing it, and I think it's great. Let me show you one of my favorite routines to perform with the color cube, and that's actually color match. And people have been doing this with multidimensional for a while, but I think it's really powerful to do it with the inside-out box. And then what I do is I create a picture and I color it in. And in this case, I'm using black, blue, green, red, and yellow. So it's 5 different colors, and I use 5 crayons. And what I do with this paper is I fold this thing up, and then I put it inside of the box along with the crayons. So this actually gets folded up, and then I work this thing around, and I place the prediction inside the box. It's something that I really, really love. I talk about this in the ebook, but something that I really love is having the prediction in their hands the entire time, and they don't even know it. So once I have the prediction inside there, and I actually cut off little bits of crayon. Now there's different ways to do this. This is the way, the last time I did it, this is basically the way I did it, was I just had little crayon bits. Now you may want to peel this and use just the base of it, or you may want to use these fronts like I'm doing. I know there's different ways, and you can decide what you like better. But I'm just going to take the tops off of these. I don't have a black crayon, so I'm just using this dark purple. These are the rest of them though. And essentially, I put these things inside of here, and they'll all fit. That's 4, and then you can even put one of them upside down. Great, that's perfect. Now I don't even use black. So black's the one color. I'm sorry, I don't use white. We do use black, but I don't use a white color because of course we don't have a white crayon. You could if you had dark paper, I suppose. But when I bring this thing out, I typically tell them, did you guys ever have like a coloring kit when you were a kid? Did you guys ever do coloring? And then I just simply open this thing up, and I just dump the crayons on the table, dump it out, and then I put the lid back on it. And then I bring out another piece of paper and I say, I tell you what, we're going to color a picture tonight. And then I draw the picture and I tear this off and I set it down. And I said, we're going to use 2 people. And I typically have one person select a color. And I say, why don't you select a color for me? And it could be any color you want. Don't show anybody at the table, but just show the person who's going to do the coloring. And of course, if they select blue, I say, pick up that color. And then I just remember the colors from the hair being 1, eyes are 2, the beard's 3, the shirt's 4, and the pants are 5. So I don't even remember the colors. I just know 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Have them fill in those locations. Now, the last time I did this, I did a routine. I think it was inspired by something that Jerome Finley wrote up a while back for one of the Pro-Mystic products, and that was actually an aura reading. So for the picture there, what I actually had was a picture of a meditating woman, and then the chakras, and that was the forehead and the mouth, and then the neck and the chest and the abdomen. And then I had them color in the chakras, and I said that we're going to do an aura reading, and I used 2 people to do that. That also was very powerful. When I get done, I take a look at their picture. They always act weird because they think that it's going to ruin the trick if I see the picture. So I take a look at it. I say, it's interesting, would you be impressed if I had predicted that it was going to come out like this, or would you be impressed if, whatever, if I read your aura before I came over here, and I actually have it, it's actually inside that box. And then I never touch the box. I let them open it up, and I always tell them the black is the lid. Once you open that up, you see that piece of paper in there? Once you pull that piece of paper out, and they do, and then I say, just unfold it, and then just very slowly unfold it. And I'll usually do this in a way so that we can do the slow reveal, which I think is better. Look, our pants matched. That's just 1 in 5. But the shirt matches. That's even more impressive. But look, you can see the beard matches, and so do the eyes and the hair. So that's like, impossible for that to completely match. Now I'll do the same way if it's an aura reading, and set this thing down. And you've done it 5 colors, prediction in their hands the entire time, color match routine, using bits of crayon that couldn't be gaffed in a box. So I think it's really a great way to do it. It does require that you have an extra prop and 2 people involved and 2 steps to it. So there is that, but I think it's still a very powerful routine.
There are a lot of brilliant center tears out there. Ron Pink's T-Rex, of course, is beyond brilliant. This is another center tear. It's an alternative with a nod to Robin Robertson. Brilliant, another brilliant mentalist. And the tear goes like this. You take the business card, and the participant, if they want, the spectator, they can fold it because there's no overfolding or underfolding. It's just simply in half. You fold it simply in half and then simply in quarters. You bring the back part up. So you can do it, the spectator can do it, it doesn't really matter. You draw a line about 1/4 of an inch above the half, and that's where you would write a name, and I'll just write the name Jonathan. So now they have the card, you instruct them to fold it in half, fold the bottom up towards themselves to create a card folded into quarters. You'll see the open edges are on the top. You take it from them, use whatever pattern you'd like. Now you tear right through the center. So you've got these two pieces. You've just torn them in half. You're going to turn them 1/4 of a turn counterclockwise, just like that. So you've torn it, turn 1/4 of a turn counterclockwise, and you're going to seat the left pieces inside the right. Now, why is that so easy? No, it's not. It's because I'm looking at the camera. It's because these normally spring open. It's just the nature of business card stock. So you basically have to do nothing. You just seat these inside the middle of the pieces in your right hand. Now you've got this situation. You've got this neat little package with nothing to see. And again, due to the nature of business cards, this is going to naturally spring open in the middle, this entire packet of cards. Once again, you're going to get your left finger inside the center, and you're going to take your other thumb and just open it like this. But again, there's nothing to see. Now you're going to tear it in half yet again, making it really fair looking. Really fair looking. You've torn it through the center twice. You now rotate the pieces in your left hand clockwise 1/4 of a turn and put them in back of the pieces in your right hand. In back of the pieces in your right hand. Once again, you have a little package, neat package like that with nothing to see. But here's the interesting part from the back. If you notice, all I need to do is let this top part spring open, and there's the name Jonathan. So once again, you've got this little packet, nothing to see on either side. You're holding it. You're holding it like this. You let this pop open, get an instant read. It's an instant read center tear of Jonathan. Tear it in half again, and then just keep tearing and put it in your I.O. cube, an alternative center tear.
Hi, I'm Ron Pink, and I'm here to teach you the basics of my T-Rex center tear. Craig and I felt it would be a perfect match for you to start using it with Inside Out. But if you'd like to know more about T-Rex, you should get the hardcover book T-Rex, with supplemental DVD that covers many variations of the techniques you're about to learn. It also has contributions from some of the greatest minds in the field, including Andrew Gerard, Colin McLeod, and Michael Weber. So let's check out the T-Rex, the basics. Here we go. Focus that thought. Would you say it's locked in your mind?
Yeah.
Great. Do me a favor, hold out your hand. Like this. That thought only exists in your mind now. Hi, Reggie. I'm Ron.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. You know how we know a lot of people in this world and all their different personalities, friends and family. Everyone's got their little things that we know about them. We tend to put them in a box once we know the kind of thinking that they have.
Okay.
Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. Got it.
I'd like to try an experiment with you. I want you to focus on one of your friends' names.
Okay.
Think about them for a second. Think about their personality, what they do in life. I'd like you to focus their name right there.
Okay.
Got a little personality box here. Let's switch.
All right.
And keep it open. I'm just going to put this up like this. Put it in here. Just like that. Shut the box. Okay, now here's what we're going to do. I'm going to turn my back, and when I do that, you're going to take this cube, and you'll see that there's different personality traits on the cube.
Okay. Yeah.
They're pretty much self-explanatory. So when I'll turn around, I want you to look at one of the traits like that, and put your hand over it when you're done.
Okay. Okay.
Are you doing that?
Uh-huh.
Now, there could be another trait that you possibly might have seen that you can associate with this person. Did you see anything
Yeah.
else? Yeah? Well, go ahead and do that again.
Okay. Got it.
You got it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's about it. You can put it aside for now. Put it behind your back. That's fine. Now, I'm getting a sense that when you had to think about this person and what they do, you first sort of looked at this person almost like an influential character, like someone who's definitely is either entrepreneurial or is sort of ahead of something or has run something. And I'm also getting the sense that this person is very artistic, that they have some sort of skills in that area. What's their occupation?
They are. They do photography and art, like graphics and stuff, and run a photo.
Oh, they run a photo. So that's amazing.
Studio-ish.
So I was getting that right. And
Yeah.
now, just focus on this person's name.
Okay.
This is a man now. I'm thinking, and they're not from here. This is from I think they're from New York.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
And this is someone you've known for quite a while. Like there was something there, but like was it like a pause of some sort, like a break?
Mm-hmm.
Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Like, but you've reconnected recently or something. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like maybe like an old flame. I'm just kidding. Wow, this must be right. Now I'm not sure about this person's name, but it's an interesting name, like Kelvin or Kelvin or something like that. What is the person's name?
Calvin.
Calvin?
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. Yeah.
All right, Reggie, we're going to try something a little different.
All right.
With the cube. Now that you know how to use it, I want you to think of the kind of person you think I am.
Okay.
I'm going to turn around, and what I want you to do is kind of randomly, use your instinct, whatever, and try to stop at at whatever side
Okay.
that you think is being covered with your hand. Okay?
All right.
Now we're gonna let you change your mind a couple times. We'll see.
Okay.
You got one?
Got one.
Now what I'd like you to do is I want you to change your mind.
Okay.
You got one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. So you've had a chance to change your mind, and now I'm going to turn around.
Okay.
So what did you choose?
Realist.
Chose realist. That's what the that's a lot. That's
That
the
was
that was your final choice.
Oh no, that was thinker. Was
Oh,
my
final choice was your thinker.
Yes.
I told you we were going to change your mind once. So go ahead and open the box. And I'll show you how to.
I don't know
I'm
what
going
side
to
it's
do
on.
this very. It opens from the realist side. There's a piece of paper in there. Take it out. Look what it says.
That was my second. My second choice. This is my final answer.
Now, as you saw, we showed a little presentation, and I wanted to just show the handling of when to get the paper back and why. In the case that in the last performance, I exchanged the box for the paper and had her hold the box open so I can tear the pieces and put it inside. I found this is the smoothest way to go about it. Right, so place it in the box and hold out your hands like that. Perfect. So you're thinking of somebody. So this is somebody you know well enough that you put them in a box.
Yes.
So we're going to put them all the way in the box. So here's what we're going to do. I'm just going to tear it into little pieces like this. Little bits. So that it fits in here. I'll scrumple it up into a little ball. Stick it right in. Do me a favor and cover the box. Very good. The best cards to use for this would be smaller pieces of paper. I would say half index cards will work very well. If you need to, you can make them more rectangular if you like by just preparing them a little bit for this effect. It depends on the kind of cube you have designed for yourself, but for the personality cube, you just want to get a piece of information that you can put inside, fold it up, and have it in the box. As far as the extra idea with the prediction inside, I have the box right here actually. You can do this with, depends on what you have on the sides of the box, you can do this with colors or anything. I have my personality box, so I put a prediction inside with thinker or sometimes artist or either one, and I let someone take the cube and decide on what kind of personality they think I am. And I have them change their mind until they land on the side that I want, the force side. You can apply that idea to your presentation, but all you have to do is, the maximum you'll have to do is 3 times, because for me at the end, if I need to get on, let's say, thinker, which for me is 3, and they switch sides to leader and they switch sides to conform, I know that on the opposite side of conform is thinker. So at that moment I'll just say, okay, now it's always the opposite of what you think, so flip it over. And now that will be your final thought, and that's now thinker's on top. So the most you'll have to go is 3. As soon as you get the opposite of the side you want, you have them flip it. If they happen to land on the side you want right away, great. If they land on the second time, which is what happened to me earlier, then great. And by the 3rd time you should have, if you're out of options, you'll have already flipped it to the right side you want, to your force side. So you can use the cube to force something, have the prediction inside the box. And that's one of the ideas that I thought it would be worth sharing as well. So thanks for watching.